It's bad that we're still here with no justice.
And I lost them so fast. I'm not happy about it.
It just does not feel like justice has been done for the victims and the families here, both in terms of the attention it gets and obviously from a criminal perspective. It's passed over, it's swept under the rug. Some of that is, I think, our lack of clarity at the time in saying what needed to be said about the tragedy, calling it a terrorist attack, talking about the circumstances surrounding it. If it is indeed the scope of it is Canada's, 9/11 moment, we sure could take a lesson from the United States where Republicans, Democrats all treat it as a somber memorial.
There is no justice. There's been one person brought to account and the trial was basically it was botched.
40 years later, we've seen the end of the Cold War, we've seen the first wars of this century, we've seen conflict continue.
40 years goes by in a heartbeat, and for those of us who remember it, I was a little kid in elementary school still when this horrific Air India tragedy happened.
Our own country is evolving and growing in many ways, and it is underpinned by the rule of law, by ensuring that people who promote terror, promote hate, are not permitted to do so, that this is a place of harmony.
It's a message, I think, to not just people who remember this tragedy and not just people who were in Canada in 1985, but every new Canadian, that we're not talking enough about it. And we need to remember our history, whether it's good, bad, or terribly tragic. This is a really important part of our history to remember the victims and the families and how it really shook Canada to the foundations. It's one of the worst days in Canadian history. There's been a lack of political will. I think there's been a lack of practicality. I think it's up to politicians to talk more about it, given they are people of influence, regardless of ideology and party. And I think we've, again, let this sort of slide by as a moment in history that we haven't talked about enough. And there might be a million reasons for that. People could agree or disagree on what the reasons are. But I do think there's, again, a little more, I'd call it moral clarity, to understand the importance of talking about the tragedy, asking a lot of the questions about why it would have transpired, asking the questions of why it may not have been prioritized to talk about more. So I want there to be an emphasis on, yes, teaching history, but I also want it from a lens of things that affect all of us in this modern era.
Stay strong, be the light. What is interesting to me is that after the attacks, we have a national day of remembrance for victims of terrorism today. Our country didn't sit around and pass a law against one religion or another, one group of people or another. Our country sat and passed a law, a commemoration, to ensure that violent extremist monsters who roam our streets, who come after our sanctuaries, our schools, our communities, are put on notice. These laws exist, they need to be enforced, so have hope. Today we saw the ancient prayers of multiple faiths, Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Jain, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish. We saw the ancient prayers being invoked in this place, and I thought that was a beautiful moment because it says to extremists who try and define people by tribe and by identity to inflict violence and terror upon others for their own enrichment, their own empowerment. It sends a strong message to them that the principles at which our country has been built upon will not be broken by them, it will not be destroyed by their violent acts, that they will be confronted by people who have backbone and who have strength and who understand the promise of this country.
Reena Murthy Subramaniam and Lakshmi Murthy Subramaniam. They are my sister-in-law and my niece. I miss them a lot. After my father died, these people are my family, and I lost them so fast, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, where's the justice? Who's held accountable? They know who did it.
Keep on looking for those people who are doing this terrorism. Should not be in this country. They should be punished.
We've got an opportunity now 40 years later, and I kind of feel some of the momentum that a lot of us are more willing to do that than we used to be.
Stand strong, stay focused, be safe, be part of the journey of restoring the promise of Canada for everybody.
40 years on, we are still struggling for the justice. Hindus demand justice, and we want a Canada which is terror-free, where the freedom of speech is not used against the people who are for the peace. That is our message.